You know, every once in a while, it's worth answering the phone, or answering your email, or even getting out of bed for that matter. Because every once in a while, you get a really good opportunity to play with a toy that you wouldn't normally get to play with. You see such a toy right here now. This is a custom-built 1911, of course, built by Annis Arms, owned and operated by Dale Annis, trained by Bob Marble, custom 1911 gun maker, and what we have here is a fine example of his work. So what we're looking at is a 45 caliber, 45 ACP, 1911, built on a Nighthawk frame. This 25 line per inch checkering is incredible. It's on the back strap and the front strap. Now the back strap is part of a one-piece magwell and mainspring housing cover. Stainless steel, very highly polished. Like I say, this checkering is just absolutely incredible. It pretty much reaches out and grabs your skin. It's that good. You can't even feel the seam where those two parts come together. Incredible. And there's definitely a good amount of bling on this gun. There's a lot of polished stainless steel. You can see the beaver tail safety, extremely well polished. It's got the memory bump, it's got some good striations, so it's got a great feel, but also an incredible look. The thumb safety and the slide stop lever are both very highly polished. This pistol has a match grade barrel and bushing, and if you notice, the bushing on this gun is significantly thicker than most 1911 bushings. That was one of the first things I noticed when I picked it up. This pistol is more Series 70 design. There is no firing pin block in the slide. That gives you a much crisper and smoother trigger pull. The very top of the slide does have some reduced glare striations along it, but very, very subtle. It just knocks down the glare a little bit compared to the sides. The serrations in the slide, which are both front and rear, are extremely deep. They're milled in, so they've got a great milled edge and extremely good grip. The beautiful grip panels on this gun are Cocobolo. And I've got other grip panels on 1911s that are Cocobolo, but none of them look like this. These are finished to a T, like a furniture maker got a hold of them. Just the finish quality on the grips alone is very impressive when you pick this gun up and look at it. Key specifications of this pistol: overall, with an empty magazine in it, it weighs 40 ounces, actually just a hair over 40 ounces. The sight radius is 6 7/8. So from the front dot to the rear notch, 6 7/8 inches. The height from the extended magwell to the top of this sight, and this is a tall sight, 5 5/8 inches. And the trigger pull breaks very crisp and very clean at just about exactly 4 pounds. Everything about this gun just feels like quality. It looks and feels like perfection, really. There's no other way to put it. And all that comes at a price. You know, if you want this gun or one like it or one similar to it from Annis Arms, expect to pay $3,000, maybe more. Every single gun that Annis Arms produces is hand built to the customer's specification and order. Every one is potentially unique in that respect. They're all built on Nighthawk frames. Some of the subtle things that I really love about the frame of this pistol is, look how soft the lines are that are cut around the trigger guard, for example. This relief around the trigger guard, the curves around the mag release button, all very, very soft and smooth. This beautiful satin finish. And then, bam, 25 line per inch checkering, which is just absolutely amazing. Fit and finish is impeccable on this gun, as you expect from a custom-built 1911. There's our sight picture. Very good. It's got a relatively narrow rear notch on that blacked out target sight. This is a flat black rear sight with horizontal serrations for glare reduction. So it's very much a target or competition oriented gun. How'd you like to show up at the IDPA match with this in your holster? It does have a full-length guide rod. Not everybody's a big fan of the full-length guide rod, but this gun does have a full-length guide rod. The feed ramp and throating in the barrel is highly polished. The builder tells me that this gun will feed an empty case. Now, I may just take him up on that. When I get this gun out, I am going to put a lot of different kinds of ammo through it. Now, he said when he handed me this gun to do my testing, he said, it'll feed anything. He said it'll feed an empty case. So, we're going to take him up on that. I've got a couple empty cases in here. The only thing I have done, these are 45 caliber, 45 ACP, empty cartridges. The only thing I did do was I ran them through a resizing die, because I'm not going to try and feed garbage into this beautiful machine. These are resized, and that's it. All right, let's see what happens. I'm going to go ahead and do a close-up here, just so you can see. We got an empty case in our magazine. I'll see what happens. Not a problem. I got another case in there. Let's see how that works. Not a problem. Yep, it'll feed an empty case. So just a quick update on the feeding the empty cases thing in this Annis gun. I fed a whole bunch of different brands, just the normal mix, whatever stuff I had in my bucket of brass, resized it, decapped it, and that's all I did. I fed a bunch of it through, and it all fed through really great, except for one brand. There was one head stamp that would not feed in the gun, and that was Federal. Don't know why, but just as an FYI. I mean, I'm not going to make a Federal case out of it. Get it? Federal case. So there's the first look at the Annis Arms 1911. Now let's get this thing out and shoot it. That is the Annis Arms 1911. This pistol is hand-built by Dale Annis. Dale Annis has studied under Bob Marvel. In fact, he continues to work closely with Bob Marvel, and he adopts a lot of his ideas, concepts, and techniques, of course. Who wouldn't, right? If you had that opportunity, into his pistols. This gun is built on a Nighthawk frame. It has a match grade barrel and bushing. Everything is hand fitted. It is extremely tight. And I'm getting ready to put some rounds through it. So let's give this thing a test. Let's see if this gun shoots as pretty as it looks. I'm going to start out with some good quality factory ball ammo. This is Freedom Munitions, 230 grain ball. Let's get started. Now the builder of this gun tells me it'll feed anything. So if it'll feed anything, it ought to fire anything. Let's try some hollow points. .200 grain lead semi-wad cutter. This is a just an opinion hand load, just to complicate things further. Good stuff. Real good stuff. Steel case tall ammo. Let's try that. Wow. It has fed everything. It's fed everything very well. All right, so all that shooting you saw me doing with various loads to test the feeding and functioning of this beautiful gun are right here on this target. And that was handheld at 7 yards and various types of ammo. These shots up here in the head shots, this was all the semi-wad cutters. And you can see that one flyer, the rest of them all one hole. Excellent results. Down here is a mixture of hardball, steel-cased hardball, and jacketed hollow points. Again, extremely good performance. With the exception of like 2 flyers, you got all holes touching. So couldn't be happier with not just the feeding and the function of this gun, but the accuracy is fantastic. Let's take a closer look at even more accuracy. Freedom Munitions 230 grain ball from the Annis Custom 1911 at 25 yards. All right, moving over clockwise, upper right, Remington UMC, 230 grain ball ammo. Just the common off-the-shelf stuff. All right, moving clockwise to the lower right, Winchester White Box. Again, just off the shelf. Winchester 230 grain ball. Next, moving clockwise to the lower left. Tall ammo, steel cased. Okay, and don't go anywhere. As a bonus, 5 rounds of Just an Opinion hand loads. Mostly Starline brass, but Starline brass and Extreme bullets and bullseye powder. Just an Opinion hand loads. 5 rounds. Going for the center. Okay. What do you say we go down and take a look? And turn off my target cam. Okay. Well, you know, with a lot of other pistols, I'd be worried with my targets being so close at 25 yards, I'd be worried that the groups would bleed together and I wouldn't be able to distinguish them. Not the case here, that's for sure. Let's review real quick the results of that 25-yard accuracy testing. First, up here in the upper left, we have the Freedom Munitions. This was the first group, and you can see it's a little bit spread, but still very good. And that measures about 3 1/4 inches from here to here, the furthest 2 shots. And then if you take away the furthest, or you take away the furthest flyer, it comes down to about 2 3/4 inches. Next, we move over to the Remington UMC. That is over here. This is the upper right. The Remington UMC performed very well, brought in a 2 1/2 inch group. And if you take away the furthest flyer of this group, that brings it down to 1 3/4 inches. Now remember that number, because there's something kind of interesting that unfolded here when I did that. So we come down next to, alright, moving down to the Winchester White Box. And ignore this because that's part of a different group. So the Winchester White Box is this group of 5 that you see here. And that's a nice group. That's actually a really nice group. That is exactly 2 inches furthest shot distance. And if we take away the furthest flyer and measure the tightest group, 1 3/4 inches. Hey, it's the same number that we had when we did that for the Remington, right? Exactly. Now let's move over and look at the tall ammo. So now we got steel cased ammo. Again, pretty impressive group. 1 flyer that went high up here. That brings the whole group to 3 1/4 inches. But if we take away our flyer, 1 3/4 inches. Now where have we heard that before? Oh yeah, same as the Winchester, same as the UMC. So interestingly, if I take away my worst shot of each group so far, I've got 3 groups in a row at 1 3/4 inches. Okay, so now just for fun, I shot some hand loads. Those are the ones labeled JO for Just an Opinion. And that includes, and these were actually, I believe, Semi-wad cutters? Nah, maybe not. They may have been ball ammo. Look, I'm just judging by the holes. I think those were ball. But if you look at this one flyer that headed south on me, that made the whole group 3 3/4 inches. So that one flyer really opened things up to a 3 3/4 inch group. But if we take away that, this group measures, guess what? 1 3/4 inches. Pretty interesting. So with the exception of the first group, if you take away the flyer or the furthest shot on each of these other 4 groups, you have the exact same number, 1 3/4 inches. I thought that was pretty interesting and pretty impressive. So, there's always when I do this, I did it from, you saw what I was doing, just rest it on a bag, and I'm not even resting it tightly, I'm just really resting my hands on the bag. So I have no doubt that in better hands or in a better rest, this gun could probably print 1.5-inch groups at 25 yards all day long. So first, I'd like to thank Annis Arms. I'd like to thank Dale Annis for giving me an opportunity to evaluate this excellent handgun. If you're looking for a custom-built 1911, you don't mind waiting a little bit, and you don't mind paying for the quality that you're asking for, I highly recommend that you give Annis Arms a look. Check them out on their Facebook page. I'll include that information here. Now, this particular gun was built as a competition gun. You might want a carry gun, you might want a home defense type gun, you may want to have just a ranged general purpose gun. Annis Arms can take care of all of those needs. So it's important that you talk to them about what it is you're looking for, what you want, what you don't want in a 1911, and then get the right price for the right gun. But if you're looking at the custom 1911 market, I think you owe it to yourself to put Annis Arms on the list. Check them out on their Facebook page, give them a call, because I can definitely promise you that if I go looking for a custom-built 1911, Dale Annis is probably the first guy I'm going to call.